Hello, Vanessa, Aminata, Melissa, Jennifer, Joanne, Danielle, Veronica, Tiffany, Beth, Candace, Ruth, Bambi, Christina, Nicole, Ariana, Maria, Letitia, Amanda, Natalia, Gazelle, Joe, and Karen. Week 3 is complete. Congratulations. We are halfway done. These courses always go so fast. Thank you for all of your excellent work so far, especially for your participation in the week 3 discussion. Codes of ethics for different types of organizations. And I think there's, as you discovered as we worked through this week's discussion, there's two things to keep in mind. One, which many of you pointed out, is that there is a core to a code of ethics, no matter what the organization is. Joanne pointed out that they're more similar than dissimilar. She said all create these codes of ethics to improve company culture, to gain the trust of their communities, to make it so that all the stakeholders are treated well. Karen also pointed out that most of these codes of ethics, there's a core similarity. Tiffany said you have to have some basic values in your code of ethics, at least that underlie your code of ethics. Things like respect, integrity, honesty, justice, teamwork. I agree 100%. That is true. There is a core a core of ethics that's going to come through in any code, no matter what kind of organization it is, for-profit, nonprofit, governmental, volunteer. There's a core of ethics that's at the heart of any code of ethics. However, as others pointed out, things will differ for a variety of reasons. As Nicole pointed out, it'll be different. A code of ethics will be different for a nonprofit, for-profit, government organization because there are different stakeholders in each of those kinds of organizations. So that will result in different details in the code of ethics because you need to specify how stakeholders are treated. And ideally, in a code of ethics, you're going to have some kind of guidance for balancing conflicting stakeholder interests and power, like we talked about in week 2. There is a difference between large and small organizations in the code of ethics, that a code of ethics for a large organization is necessarily going to be more detailed and more involved because you have people who don't know each other, who don't have relationships. So you need more detailed rules to govern those relationships. If you're running a small business with 3 people, chances are you don't need a whole procedure for how to deal with employee conflicts because it's only 3 people. You can fall back on what Tiffany and Joanne and Karen and others said. Hey, basics, golden rule, treat each other well, be honest, respect. And that's probably all that you need in that context. In a wider context, you need more rules because people need more guidance to deal with people that they don't know and they don't trust. Natalia also pointed out that it's a challenge to have a code of ethics in an organization that involves people from a variety of different cultures, that's complicated, but it really also makes it even more necessary to have a clearly articulated code so that perhaps your organization is not a good fit for some people from some cultural backgrounds. And I think that's true. Perhaps this is a absurdly simple example, but someone who is Muslim is not going to be involved in a business that sells pork sandwiches. It doesn't work culturally. Does that mean that the pork sandwich business is a bad business? No, it just means that it's not going to be a good fit for somebody from who has those religious beliefs. Beth and Joe, speaking of culture, Beth and Joe pointed out that a code of ethics is one thing, but an organizational culture is much deeper and much more important. That the code of ethics for Walmart and Costco, they're actually very similar, but the culture of those organizations is very different. Whereas Costco is a unionized shop, Uh, employees are given a lot of training and given a lot of autonomy. Walmart, no unions, no autonomy, a lot stricter supervision and much more closely managed. Very different culture. And it's the culture that has a much more impact on the way that the employees treat customers, treat one another, interact with management. And that is pretty much universally true. As I said in one of my posts, Peter Drucker always had the saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I would say the corollary to that is culture eats codes of ethics for lunch, because the culture will always dominate. If the leaders don't exude the values, those will never be lived out, no matter how detailed or well written your code of ethics is. The O'Toole article, I think, will really help you understand that. I think that's a very helpful piece for understanding that culture really drives ethics. Ethos, culture really drives character, and that will influence the way that everybody in your organization treats one another. As so many of you said, it starts at the top. Again, thank you for all of your great insights, and if there's any way that I can be helpful to you, please reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. Take care.